Why did Nintendo 60 for games have blurry textures and heavy fog? Imagine stepping into a world where everything looks soft and dreamlike, with distant objects fading into a misty haze. That's how many Nintendo 60 for games appeared back in the day. You might wonder why the graphics seem blurry and why fog is so prominent. Well, the answer lies in the hardware limitations and design choices made during the console's development. The Nintendo 64 was a powerful machine for its time, capable of 3D graphics that wowed players. But it had some strict restrictions that affected how games looked. First, the cartridges used for games had limited storage space compared to compact discs used by competitors like the Sony PlayStation. This meant developers couldn't store high-resolution textures or large detailed images. Instead, they had to make do with small textures, often just 64 by 32 pixels, which had to be stretched over large surfaces. This stretching made textures appear blurry or pixelated. The console's texture cache was also tiny, only 4 kilobytes, so it could hold only a few small textures at a time. To make textures look smoother, developers used a technique called texture filtering. This process blurred the textures slightly to hide pixelation, but it also gave everything a softer, sometimes Vaseline-like appearance. The Nintendo 64 also included hardware features like trilinear filtering and anti-aliasing. These features helped smooth out jagged edges and made textures look less harsh, but they also contributed to the overall blurry look. Compared to the sharper but more pixelated graphics of the PlayStation, the N64's filtering made everything seem softer. Now, let's talk about the fog. Many games used fog as a practical tool. Since the Nintendo 64 could only render a limited number of polygons and pixels at once, developers used fog to hide distant objects that they couldn't render well. This fog helped maintain smooth frame rates and prevented the game from slowing down or showing pop-in effects. It became a signature visual style for many titles like Super Mario 64 and The Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time. The fog and blurry textures gave these games a unique, almost surreal atmosphere that many players now look back on with nostalgia. So, the blurry textures and thick fog weren't just design quirks, they were solutions to technical limits. These choices helped create the distinct look of Nintendo 64 games and contributed to the console's charm. Despite the compromises, developers found clever ways to make immersive worlds that players still remember today.